Every offseason, NBA teams roll the dice. They hand out massive contracts hoping for titles, highlights, and legacy. But sometimes they end up paying $40, $50, even $60 million for broken promises. Today, we're diving into the top 10 most overpaid players in the NBA, not just based on money, but on value, availability, and impact when it matters most. These aren't bad players. In fact, some are all-stars. One's even a finals MVP. But when you look at what they're getting paid, you start to wonder, what exactly are teams paying for? Let's get into it. Patrick Williams was the 4th overall pick in 2020, a long, switchable forward with size and shooting upside. But today, he's on a 5-year, $90 million extension, earning $18 million per year, and currently playing well below that value. Let's get real. He's averaging just 9.0 points on 39.7% shooting, including 36% from deep over the past season. For an $18 million forward, that's not ideal. Going into this season, many viewed the deal as a low-risk gamble, a young player-friendly, mid-range contract, but that optimism is fading fast. His minutes are dropping, his motor looks off, and the Bulls are already exploring trades. Injuries haven't helped. Foot surgery cut into last season, but talent stagnation is the bigger concern. This type of contract should belong to a core rotation piece, not a fringe bench wing whose PR ranks among the league's lowest. And here's the kicker. The Bulls are rebuilding around younger, cheaper talent like Giddey, Buzelis, and Kobe White. Yet Williams is eating up a quarter of their rotation cap with no upside look on the horizon. He's still young, sure, but youth loses its grace when it comes at this price tag and below average output. If progress doesn't come soon, this deal could go down as one of the worst value contracts of the decade. That's why Patrick Williams grabs the number 10 spot on our list of most overpaid NBA players. Just a few years ago, John Collins looked like the perfect modern power forward, athletic, energetic, and ready to be the second star next to Trae Young. After signing a 5-year, $125 million deal, Collins was supposed to be Atlanta's long-term solution at the 4. Instead, they couldn't get rid of him fast enough. His numbers dipped, his role shrank, and eventually, the Hawks traded him to Utah for almost nothing, just to get off the money. In Utah, he put up okay stats on a rebuilding team. But let's be honest, $26 million is not okay stats money. That's all-star money, franchise money. But Collins isn't anchoring an offense. He's not spacing the floor. He's not even defending at a high level.
Edwards gets it back and threw it down and one from the rafters. That was ridiculous.
And for someone who was once hyped as a rising star, he's now barely making noise in a market that needs its stars to show up. The Clippers stepped in, trading Norman Powell and a 2027 second-rounder to bring Collins over in a 3-team deal this July. LA offloaded Powell's efficient scoring for Collins' potential, but Collins is injury-prone. Sprained ankle limited him to 40 games and hasn't shown he can consistently elevate a contender. So while the Clippers gained front-court size, they didn't gain efficiency, and that contract is a migraine waiting to happen. That's why Collins slides in at number 9. Jordan Poole went from championship darling to locker room chaos to one of the most painfully overpaid players in the league, all in about 18 months. After helping the Warriors win it all in 2022, Poole got rewarded with a 4-year, $128 million extension, and Golden State thought they were locking up their future. But instead of becoming Steph Curry's successor, Poole became a walking blooper reel. In Washington, he was supposed to be the guy, but instead, he's looked completely lost. Terrible shot selection, zero defense, and more heat checks than actual heat. He's averaging decent counting stats, sure, but his true shooting is awful, and he's running the offense like it's a pickup game at LA Fitness. Worst of all, he doesn't seem to be improving. He's still making the same boneheaded plays, still ignoring teammates, still jacking up logo threes with 17 seconds on the clock. The Wizards shipped him off this offseason to the Pelicans, acquiring CJ McCollum and clearing roster space. But Poole's $31 million salary followed him into New Orleans, on a team stacked with big contracts like Zion, Murray, and Herb Jones. So now he's a high-paid perimeter option on a team with limited room and even less margin for error. That price tag still hangs over his head, and if he doesn't find his rhythm fast, it's going to look even worse. New Orleans is gambling that Poole can rediscover his 2022 final spark, but for now, he's still a major frown on the league's salary-to-impact ratio charts, landing him solidly at number 8. When the Blazers gave Jeremy Grant a 5-year, $160 million extension last summer, fans were scratching their heads. And then, just 2 weeks later, Damian Lillard requested a trade. That right there is the definition of a front office whiff. Grant got star money, but without Dame, he's now the highest paid player on the team going absolutely nowhere. Don't get me wrong, Jeremy a good player. He's athletic, versatile, and gives you a clean 20 points a night. But that's the thing. Good doesn't mean worth over $33 million per year. This season, he's the veteran centerpiece of a team that's deep in the lottery, putting up quiet numbers in games that don't matter. He's not making all-star teams. He's not leading comebacks. He's not a playmaker or a go-to scorer down the stretch. And yet, his salary ranks higher than guys like Jalen Brunson, De'Aaron Fox, and Anthony Edwards. The worst part? That deal still has 4 full years left, and it only gets more expensive from here. Portland is rebuilding around young guys like Scoot Henderson and Shaedon Sharpe, and yet they've tied up over $130 million in a player who isn't part of their long-term core. Maybe they overpaid to keep Dame happy. Maybe they just panicked. Either way, they're now stuck with a contract that's going to be really hard to move, unless they're willing to attach picks or take back a bad deal in return. He's not a bad player, but the value just isn't there. And that's why Jeremy Grant lands at number 7 on our list of the NBA's most overpaid players. Kawhi Leonard is still one of the most gifted two-way players the NBA has ever seen. Finals MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, an unstoppable mid-range assassin when he's locked in. But there's one major problem. He's rarely on the court. In 2025, Kawhi is making just under $50 million, the 4th highest salary in the league. And yet, he played 47 games last season, missed the entire postseason, and is coming off another injury that raises long-term concerns. Since joining the Clippers in 2019, Kawhi has never played more than 57 games in a season. And remember, this was supposed to be the guy who brought a title to LA. Instead, it's been 5 straight years of load management, mysterious knee updates, and postseason disappointment. When he's on the floor, sure, he's elite, but the problem is, you can't count on him to be there when it matters most. And that's what makes his contract one of the worst values in the league. Because you're not just paying Kawhi $49 million this year, you're paying for the expectation of greatness and getting just glimpses of it. The Clippers built their entire roster around this man, traded away picks, committed max money, handed him control, and what they've gotten in return? A single trip to the Western Conference Finals. And a whole lot of, he's out tonight. In fairness, he still impacts winning when healthy. But at this point in his career, with recurring knee issues and mounting missed games, Kawhi is a financial risk with minimal playoff reward. And when you're taking up that much cap space with that little availability, it's hard to argue you're not one of the most overpaid players in the NBA. That's why Kawhi Leonard lands at number 6 on this list. Rudy Gobert remains one of the most elite rim protectors in the NBA, but at $35 million this season, part of a 3-year, $110 million extension, the expectations are massive. Minnesota brought him in to anchor their defense and help win now, but with a contract that large, the production has to go beyond rebounding and blocked shots. The Wolves are now locked into a top-heavy payroll, and Gobert's deal is one of the biggest reasons why. Even after trading Karl Anthony Towns to the Knicks this offseason, Minnesota still finds itself paying Gobert more than anyone else on the roster, not named Anthony Edwards. With Edwards' new max extension kicking in and Jaden McDaniels getting paid, Gobert's $35 million cap hit eats up valuable flexibility for a team trying to stay competitive in the West. He's still a dominant interior presence in the regular season. Come playoff time, teams spread the floor and exploit his lack of mobility. And offensively, he brings little to nothing outside of dunks and putbacks. Last year, 14 points, 12 rebounds, no playmaking, no real offensive threat. Those are solid numbers, but not $35 million numbers. Minnesota took a big swing when they acquired Gobert, but now his contract looms large over their books. And unless he can evolve his game or consistently dominate in the playoffs, that deal is going to age poorly. That's why Rudy Gobert lands at number 5 on our list of the most overpaid players in the NBA. Tyler Hero has all the tools: smooth handle, off-the-dribble shot creation, deep range, and enough swagger to light up an arena. But here's the problem. All of that comes with a $31 million price tag this season, and Hero has yet to prove he's worth that kind of investment. In 2022, the Heat handed him a 4-year, $120 million extension, expecting him to blossom into their next franchise scorer. Instead, they've spent the last 2 playoff runs thriving. Without him, injuries have played a part, but even when healthy, Hero's impact has been inconsistent. He puts up points, around 20 per game, but it's often empty calories. His efficiency is shaky, he struggles to create for others, and defensively, he's usually the weak link teams go after in crunch time. In the 2023 and 2024 postseasons, Miami reached the finals and the East semis, largely relying on Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and a rotation full of gritty, undrafted guys. Meanwhile, Hero was either on the sideline or playing catch-up. And here's the kicker. His contract pays him more than several guards who are far more consistent two-way contributors. When you're over $30 million per year, you need to be a playoff weapon, not a luxury the team does better without. Even the front office seems unsure. Hero's name has been in trade rumors for over a year now, and when the Heat were in talks to land Damian Lillard, Hero was the first piece on the table. Tyler Hero is talented, no doubt, but between the injuries, the fit, and the price tag, he feels more like a movable contract than a foundational piece. That's why he lands at number 4 on our list of the most overpaid NBA players right now. Let's get one thing straight. This isn't a knock on Jaylen Brown. He's a Finals MVP, a two-time All-Star, and a legit two-way weapon. But even with that resume, his contract puts the Celtics in a tough spot. Brown is making $53.1 million this season, with that number climbing to nearly $60 million by the final year, which, at the time it was signed, was the largest contract in NBA history. And it's going to be nearly impossible to live up to. Between Brown and Jason Tatum, Boston is spending over $100 million annually on just 2 players. That's left very little flexibility under the new second apron tax rules. They've already moved on from guys like Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis just to balance the books. And rumor has it, Brown's name is quietly floating in trade circles. Not because they want to move him, but because they might have to. His stats are solid, around 22 points per game, strong defense, capable in the clutch. But he's not immune to long cold spells. Turnovers, tunnel vision, and shaky ball handling still plague his game, especially under playoff pressure. And at this price point, solid isn't enough. You're expected to deliver elite consistency, game after game, especially when the roster around you is thinning out. That said, this is the opportunity he's been waiting for. With Tatum out, Brown finally has the chance to show he can be a true number 1, the centerpiece, the leader, the guy. If he rises to the occasion and carries Boston deep, this contract starts to make sense. But if he fades again, the noise only gets louder. And so do the trade rumors. So while Jaylen Brown absolutely deserves credit, Finals MVP, championship DNA, this contract puts Boston in a financial corner, one they might not be able to stay in for long. That's why he lands at number 3 on our list of the most overpaid players in the NBA. Joel Embiid is the reigning MVP, a scoring machine, a defensive force. But at $55 million this season, he's also one of the highest paid players in NBA history, and that price comes with serious baggage. Let's be clear. When he's healthy, Embiid is nearly unstoppable. He led the league in scoring in back-to-back seasons and averaged over 30 points per game while anchoring Philly's defense. But the issue? That last sentence starts with when, because availability is everything, and Embiid has missed the playoffs or fallen short every single year of his career. He's been in the league since 2014 and has yet to reach a conference finals. For a guy earning over $50 million this season, that's a major problem, especially when his contract is set to grow to $62 million by 2027. Every postseason seems to end the same way. Dominant flashes, followed by another injury. In 2024, he played through a torn meniscus, and while that's tough, the Sixers once again fell short in round 2. And let's not forget, this is a team built entirely around him. Maxey is rising, but the system, the spacing, the defense, everything revolves around Joel Embiid. So when he's unavailable or gassed by Game 4, the entire operation collapses. Other stars on $50 million plus contracts are taking their teams to the finals or carrying massive playoff loads. Embiid, he's still fighting to get past the second round. No one's denying the talent. Embiid is incredible when he's on the court. But when you're making that kind of money, you're expected to be available, dominant, and durable every postseason. Until that happens, and until Philly finally makes a real title run with him at the center of it all, Joel Embiid's contract will continue to feel like a massive gamble. And that's why he lands at number 2 on our list of the most overpaid players in the NBA. This spot was almost a lock for Bradley Beal, but with Beal officially restructuring his deal and stepping away from that supermax, someone else claimed the crown. And that brings us to the new number 1 on our list of the most overpaid NBA players. Yes, that's right. The top 2 worst contracts in the NBA right now are on the same team. Paul George is a smooth scorer, a polished defender, and an 8-time All-Star. But let's talk about the money, because in 2025, he's making a staggering $51.9 million. And that's just year 1 of a brand new 4-year, $212 million deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers paid max money money to lure George away from the Clippers, hoping he'd be the piece to finally push Joel Embiid over the top. But history tells us one thing: betting big on Paul George rarely pays off in June. Since joining the Clippers in 2019, PG-13 has missed 43 playoff games due to injury, and in the ones he has played, his efficiency and impact have often dipped. He's been called Playoff P, but not for the reasons he'd like.
Playoff P can't keep getting no passes. And listen, let me tell you something. Well, you can't be calling yourself Playoff P and lose all the time. You don't see me walking around saying, hey, I won the championship and I didn't win it. They don't call me Championship Chuck. Championship Chuck. Yeah.
Yes, he's averaged around 22 to 24 points per game in recent years, but at this stage in his career, George is no longer the player you build around, and definitely not someone you tie up over $50 million a year in hopes he'll stay healthy. The injuries are piling up: knee issues, shoulder issues, load management. He's 34 now, and the Sixers just locked him in through age 37. When you look at what Philly's paying him for, elite wing scoring, perimeter defense, and clutch shot making, it feels like they're buying a version of Paul George that existed in 2021, not the one they're getting now. At this price, you could be paying for the future of your franchise. Instead, Philly just invested max money into a player who's already past his peak and who hasn't proven he can stay on the court or lead a team deep in the playoffs. Paul George still has flashes of brilliance. He's got the skill, the experience, and the poise. But with this price tag, the question isn't whether he's good, it's whether he's worth it. That's why Paul George, despite all the hype, lands at the top spot as the most overpaid NBA player in 2025. So there you have it. From max-level MVPs who can't stay healthy to rising stars cashing checks they haven't earned yet. These are the 10 players whose contracts just don't match the value they bring. It's not always about talent. Every name on this list is a skilled NBA player. But in today's league, when you're making $20, $40, even $50 million plus a season, expectations are sky high. Whether it's poor fit, declining production, injuries, or just flat out overpaying for potential, these deals are holding teams back. And the worst part? Most of these contracts are still locked in for years to come. So now it's your turn. Who do you think is the most overpaid player in the league right now? Drop your answer in the comments and don't hold back. If you want more brutally honest NBA breakdowns just like this, hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell so you're first in line when the next video drops. Because the money's only getting bigger and the league, well, it's not getting any more forgiving.